To be a top performing artist, model, DJ, entrepreneur, to be a top performer, it's not about what you do. It's not about what you say. It's not about wearing the right things or looking a certain way. It's all about the frequency that you show up in. You want to get into this versions of yourself state of mind, because when you shift into this frequency, when you embody and practice and act as if you are already this top performer before you are her, before you are him, you activate this new frequency. And what is frequency? Frequency is information. You activate new information, new ideas, the lyrics to the next song. You adopt the frequency of the ideas of how to show up to the next audition, ideas for different business models, thinking outside of the box, thinking more creatively. And all of this is channeled from the divine, from God, from the universe as you tap into this new frequency. But you have to step into the state of mind, because if you see yourself as mediocre, if you see yourself as someone who is trying, but you're not quite there yet, then you are going to operate as a mediocre person. You are going to operate as someone who is trying, but you're not there yet. You're someone who's like half there. And you have to be really honest with yourself here, because the subconscious mind is very tricky. We are only consciously aware of 5 to 10% of our thoughts, our emotions, our belief systems. And you have to, what I call, expand your conscious container in order to be more and more aware of what's going on in the subconscious. I cannot tell you how many times where I look back at my life and I thought that at that time I was confident. I thought that at that time I was content or happy. But looking back now, I'm like, damn, I was miserable at that point in my life, or I was very insecure or very anxious. And I didn't even realize it because that was my baseline. And all the subconscious thoughts were playing out. All the subconscious stories were playing out. And on a conscious level, I was thinking to myself, saying to myself, yeah, I see myself as XYZ. Yeah, I'm happy and content with this. I'm grateful for what I have, but I was miserable. I was complaining. I wasn't actually happy in my circumstances. And I want you to get radically honest with yourself. How do you view yourself? A good way to just dump out what's going on in the subconscious mind and to work on expanding that conscious container is journal dumping. If you're not familiar with journal dumping, if you haven't been doing it and you want to get back into it, I highly recommend it for gaining clarity on what are these subconscious narratives that are going on. Because what's going on in your subconscious is the frequency that you're putting out there. And if you're not yet the top, the best, if you haven't gotten the role that you wanted, if you're not in the place that you want to be yet, there's some gap that needs to be filled. You're not quite at that frequency. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just want to look at, okay, how do I get to this frequency? What is in the way? What is in my state of mind? What is in my energy field that is emanating a different frequency? And you know what belief systems you have in your subconscious. You know what stories are going on in your subconscious, what frequency you are giving off by what you have manifested into your 3D life thus far. And so you can say like, yes, I believe that I can be financially abundant. I believe that money can come to me easily. But when I look at my bank account, do I see only $50 and no savings? Am I always living paycheck to paycheck? That is your reality. That is what you need to get clarity on. Okay, what is creating this reality for me? Because when you can bring what's going on in the subconscious to the surface, when you can shed light on the quote unquote darker parts of yourself, what people may call shadow work, when you shine light on any doubts or fears or worries or just stories that are running on in the background that are not serving you anymore, when you shed light on those, it brings a sense of like relief. There's almost like, more often than not, many times, there's almost like an instantaneous healing and like relief that happens when you just bring that to light. And it becomes so much easier to rewrite the story, change your identity, become this new embodiment of the frequency of this new version of yourself that gets everything that you want, by gaining clarity on that. What's up? My name is Sabrina and welcome back to the channel. Here in the Better You space, we teach creatives, dreamers, and entrepreneurs how to train their minds to turn their dreams into their real daily lives. If you're loving what we're talking about today, I highly recommend you join our membership, Better Your Mind. I'll leave the link in the description below. Better Your Mind is a hub of daily brain trainings, fundamental teachings on how to rewire your brain, how to rewire your thoughts, how to raise your emotional baseline, how to change your identity. It comes with a bomb-ass community. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when I post new videos, and let's dive deeper into this topic. The person who gets chosen for the role, the person who makes the tons of sales as an entrepreneur, the person who is able to sell their art for thousands and thousands of dollars versus selling it for $20 at a stand, it's all about the frequency that you portray yourself in. It's all about the frequency that you emanate. To have that je ne sais quoi, you want to define who is that version of you that has that je ne sais quoi? Who is that version of you who has X, Y, and Z? Your specific goals, dreams, desires. Because everyone here who's watching this video, you all have very specific goals and dreams and desires. Someone could be wanting to own 10 farms and have 2,000 pigs and have a whole pig farm. Meanwhile, someone else could be watching this and they're like, yes, I want to have a designer brand with eco-friendly made clothes. And that requires two totally different states of mind. If there were no limitations, if there were no rules, because there are no rules to life, you write the rules to your rule book of life. If anything were possible, I want you to disconnect from what other people have told you what is possible. Because what has been done in the past is simply what people have believed could be possible to do. You are here to pave a whole new path for yourself. So leaving all of that, just tossing that out the window, I want you to write down, because writing this down is very powerful. Handwriting it down, not typing it, but handwriting it down. Handwriting down your goals, who you desire yourself to be, affirmations. It builds, and I forget the specific number, but it builds an insanely higher number of neural connections in your brain as you write it down. And I have felt this myself as I write things down. I feel it so much more. I integrate it and embody it so much more. And so writing this down, how do you want yourself to be viewed? Who do you want to portray yourself as? How do you want to be seen? What are these specific talents that you want to have and that you want to be known for? What are the things that you want others to say about you? What are your mannerisms? What do you wear? And if you have already written this down in the past, but you're not yet embodying it, you may want to keep writing it down. I'm starting this thing where every morning and every night, I have been writing down the state of mind of who I want to embody. And I'm just continuing to journal on, I see things this way. My belief systems are this way. I take action in this way. And I just repetitively, I write new sentences, but it's from that same lens of what is this new version of myself and this new state of mind and this new identity, because I'm constantly revamping my identity. What does she do, think, say, feel, believe? And that really helps to envelop and develop this new version of yourself. And so when you get clarity on this, when you define this, okay, and you tap into that frequency, you tap into new ideas, you tap into new things, when you also shift your state of mind into this new way of being, you can activate different talents and higher talented genes. You can actually upgrade your genes to become more talented in what you do. Now, if you guys know me, you know that I love my Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm obsessed with his teachings. I went to his 7-day retreat. I literally wind down at night to watching his Rewired series on Gaia. And as I was watching Rewired last night, there was an episode where he talks about epigenetics. And epigenetics it's essentially the science that proves that genetics aren't typically passed down generationally like we have been taught to believe. The majority of genetics are signaled in someone's body, like chronic illness, like the genetics to have it being hard to lose weight, things like that. Those genes are turned on not by their generational parents, but through the environment that they're in, more specifically, the thought and emotional chemical signals that are being induced throughout the body. And so what does this mean about you and your talents and you becoming the best in what you do? There's different genes of being the best singer, of being the best, the most talented artist, of being the best writer and knowing how to flow and knowing what to say, or being the best speaker and having that voice and knowing how to make that impact. I want you to imagine in your body different genes for this. And when you send different thought and emotional chemical signals throughout your body, it turns off and on different genes. Meaning you can literally become, like your voice can become more developed. If you're an athlete, you can literally turn off and on different genes that will make you faster, that will make you jump higher, that will make you swim faster, simply by sending the thought and emotional chemicals of, I am this person that runs this fast. I am this person that swims this fast. I am this singer who writes the best songs or whose voice sounds like this. Getting specific on your goals. When you send these specific, not just affirmations, because affirmations are nothing without the emotion behind them. I don't want to say that they're nothing without the emotion behind them, but the emotion behind them carries a lot of weight in terms of how it impacts your subconscious and how it wires your brain. And so when you send these thought and emotional chemicals of I am this exact type of person, you physically turn off and on different genes in your body. I've even noticed for myself, like as I have raised my frequency, my self-talk has changed a lot. There's been different like changes that I've made to my health, yes. But when I look back at past photos, I can see the impact of how the thought and emotional chemicals that were being sent throughout my body were creating different features in my face. It was creating more of a round face. It was creating more just overall swelling in my body, more bloating. I feel like my jawline has looked different. Like I can see the physical difference in even just the shape of my face alone from the different frequencies that I've been in, from the different thought and emotional chemicals I'm sending my body. And so keeping this in mind, having the clarity, knowing the state of mind, knowing the mannerisms, knowing exactly what you are embodying, and then practicing that frequency, practicing that energy, practicing that emotion, literally waking up and feeling like that person as you go about your days. Even if you're auditioning for a role that is not nearly what you see yourself auditioning for, I want you to practice as if it is that big role. I want you to speak to the people who are like judging you as if they are these high top tier people at this new audition that you ideally see yourself going into. I want you to practice this almost like delusionally, really envision in your mind that you are this person and that you are doing these things. Because the thing is your brain does not know the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is not. And so when you start vividly imagining this, when you start to get into that childlike, creative, and have fun with it, please, for the love of God, have fun with it and do not be such a hard ass on yourself. I'm saying this because this is what I needed to hear. My past self needed to hear that. The more fun that you have with it, the more that your feminine energy is alive in your body, the more magnetic you're going to be, the more that you have that je ne sais quoi. And as you practice this day after day, day after day, day after day, you're going to get new ideas. You're going to take action on that new idea, and then it's going to build a bridge to a new idea. You're going to take action on that new idea, and it's going to build a bridge of new synchronicities coming in. And then day after day, you're going to get closer, get closer, get closer. Notice the triggers coming up. Notice the doubts coming up. Notice the fears coming up. Am I even capable of reaching this place? Do I even have what it takes? All of the things that the brain and the ego loves to say and scare you with. You work through that. You get closer, you get closer. Then it's like you've been practicing it, you've been embodying it so much, it just feels natural to you. Of course it comes into your life. Of course you're selling your art piece for $20,000 now. Of course you're being asked to play this role in the next like Broadway show. Of course all of these influencers are reaching out to you and you become like this big UGC creator. Of course you get these things because you've been practicing it. You've been embodying it. You've been visualizing it. You've been having fun with it. You've been playing in that idea, in that realm. And as you do that, you're stepping into the quantum, stepping into the quantum. And the more you step into the quantum, the faster it comes to you, baby, because time is but an illusion. Time is not real. Time does not exist. When people say that it takes X amount of years to do something, that is an old construct. You can very well bypass time and quantum leap into this new version of yourself, but it requires for you to overcome everything that's in between there. It requires you to radically embody and shift into this new frequency and into this state of mind. And if you like these teachings, if you love to learn more about this, Better Your Mind has specific daily brain trainings to tap into, to set the intention, to visualize yourself as this person. There are self-talk rampages that help to change the narrative, change the story of how you view yourself, of how you operate in your life, so that you can train your brain, which changes your automatic behaviors, which turns off and on these different genes in your body, which allows you to have that je ne sais quoi and become that top performer that you see yourself becoming. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified every time I post a new one, and I will see you in the next video.